the image-forming process. To understand the full meaning of our relationships with each other, no matter how intimate or distant, we must begin by understanding why the brain creates images. We must examine together and discover why human beings worldwide possess this extraordinary mechanism that creates images, symbols, and models. Is it because these models, symbols, and images give us a great sense of security? If you observe, you'll notice that you create an image of yourself, whether it's an image of vanity, which is arrogance, or an opposite image. You've accumulated great experience and acquired vast knowledge, which in itself creates the image of the expert, the authority. Why do we have images of ourselves? These images separate people. If you have an image of yourself as Swiss, English, French, and so on, that image not only distorts your observation of humanity, but also separates you from other people. And whenever there's separation, division, there's conflict, as there is conflict throughout the world, Arab against Israeli, Muslim against Hindu, one Christian church against another. Both national and economic divisions all result from images and concepts, ideas, and the brain clings to these images because it's part of our culture, part of our religious training and education. When someone has an image of themselves as English or American, that image gives them a certain sense of security. This is very clear. Having created the self-image, this image becomes semi-permanent. Behind this image, or with this image, one tries to obtain security, protection, and a form of resistance. When we're in a relationship with another, although delicately, although subtly, psychically, or physically, there's a response based on images. If someone is married or has an intimate relationship with another person, an image is formed. In your daily life, this relationship may have existed for a week or 10 years. The image of the other person is formed slowly, step by step. Each reaction is remembered, added to the image, and stored in the brain, so that the relationship can be physical, sexual, or psychic. In fact, this relationship is between two images, your own image and that of the other. The speaker isn't saying anything extravagant or fantastic. He's merely observing that these images exist. Images exist, and one can never completely know the other. If someone is married or has a girlfriend, they can never know her completely. They think they know because, having lived with that person, they've accumulated memories of various incidents, various irritations, and all the occurrences that happen in daily life, just as she has also had her reactions. And the images of these reactions are imprinted in their brain. These images represent an extraordinarily important part of our lives. Apparently, few of us are free from any form of image. Being free from images is true freedom. In this freedom, there's no division produced by images. Remembering and recording happen all the time. Like, we're asking if it's possible not to record psychologically, but only to record what's really necessary. In a sense, it's necessary to record. For example, we must record everything necessary to learn mathematics. If I'm going to be an engineer, I must record all the mathematics related to structures, and so on. If I'm going to be a physicist, I must record what has already been confirmed in that field. To learn to drive a car, I must record. But is it really necessary in our relationships to record psychologically, internally? Is the memory of past incidents love? When I say to my wife, I love you, does that belong to the memory of all the things we've been through together? The incidents, the joys, the struggles that are recorded and stored in the brain. Are these memories actually love? So is it possible to be free and not record psychologically in any way? This is only possible when there's total attention. When there's total attention, there's no recording, no identification. I don't know why we want explanations. Is it because our brains aren't fast enough to capture, to have an improvisation of the whole thing immediately? Why can't we perceive this, all the truth of this, let this truth operate, and therefore erase the programming and have a brain that doesn't record psychologically in any way? But most human beings are preferably indolent. They prefer to live in their old models with their particular habits of thought. They reject anything new because they think it's much better to live with the known than with the unknown. In the known, there's protection. At least they think there's protection, security. And so they continue repeating, working, and struggling within the field of the known. Can we observe the whole process and mechanism of memory in operation? What is this image? How is it formed? And what sustains it? Well, the image-forming mechanism is inattention. Don't you understand, gentlemen? For example, when you insult me, I react, and that reaction creates the image. The reaction happens because there's no attention. You see, I don't pay complete attention to your insult. This lack of attention creates the image. If you call me an idiot, I react because I'm not completely attentive to what you're saying. In this case, the image is formed. But when I'm completely attentive to what you're saying, in that case, no image is formed. If you insult me, if I listen completely with complete attention, which means paying attention without identification, without any choice, in that case, there's no image formation. After all, forming images is a way to avoid being offended. So, when someone praises or insults you, pay complete attention at that moment, and then you'll see that no image will remain, and therefore there will be no separation between the observer and the observed thing. For example, if you insult me and I'm not attentive the next time I meet you, I don't see you as my friend. The insult left its mark imprinted in memory. If you praise me, the praise also leaves a mark, and when I meet you, in the case of praise, I consider you as my friend. That is, any impression produced in the mind forms an image. And we're saying that when the mind is full of images, it's not free. Therefore, they will live in conflict. Relationships between human beings are based on the defensive image-forming mechanism. In all relationships, each of us forms an image about others, and the two images are in a relationship, not the human beings themselves. The wife has an image of the husband, perhaps unconsciously, and the husband has an image of the wife. We have an image about our country and about ourselves, and we're constantly strengthening these images, always adding something. The true relationship between two or several human beings ends completely when there's image formation. A relationship based on images will never produce peace, because images are fictitious, and one cannot live in an abstract way. However, this is what we all do. We live among ideas and theories, symbols, and images that we create about ourselves and others, and which certainly aren't realities. All our relationships, whether with property, ideas, or people, are essentially based on this image formation, and for this reason, there's always conflict. See the importance of this. If we respond completely with all our senses, in that case, there's the elimination of the centralized observer. But when we respond to a particular thing in a special, isolated way, then division begins. Discover when you leave this tent, when you look at the flowing waters of the river, the light reflecting on the liveliness of the waters, discover if you can look with all your senses. Don't ask me how, because in this case it will become mechanical, but educate yourselves in the total understanding of the sensory response.